Learning to wait without losing faith, teaching and prayer. Welcome. Take a moment to arrive here, just as you are. You don't need to rush or prepare yourself in any special way. This time is set aside for quiet reflection and gentle prayer, a space where you can slow down and breathe without expectation. If your mind feels busy or your heart feels tired, that's okay. There's no need to fix anything right now. As you listen, you might notice the pace of your thoughts beginning to soften. Let that happen naturally. There is room here for stillness, for questions, and even for uncertainty. You don't have to bring clarity with you. You don't have to bring strength either. This moment isn't about performing or proving anything. It's simply about being present. Wherever you are listening from, allow yourself to settle into the present moment. Feel the steadiness of your breath. Notice the space around you. Let the noise of the day fade into the background, even if only slightly. This time is not meant to add pressure or urgency. It's meant to offer rest and gentle guidance. During this time together, we will reflect quietly and thoughtfully, and later we will move into prayer. There is no need to anticipate what comes next. You're invited to listen at your own pace and receive what resonates. Everything shared here is meant to support you, not to push you. For now, simply remain open. Let your attention rest here. This moment is enough. The focus of this time together is called learning to wait without losing faith. Waiting is something every person encounters, whether it's waiting for clarity, for healing, for direction, or for a sense that life is moving forward again. Often, waiting doesn't come with explanations. It doesn't arrive neatly labeled. It simply shows up, uninvited, and asks us to live within it. In everyday life, waiting can feel uncomfortable and unsettling. It can raise questions about timing, purpose, and trust. You might find yourself wondering whether the delay means something has gone wrong, or whether you've missed something important. These questions are deeply human. They don't come from weakness, they come from caring. This topic matters because so much of life unfolds in seasons we don't choose. Waiting can touch relationships, work, health, dreams, and inner growth. It can quietly shape how we see ourselves and how we relate to God. When waiting stretches longer than expected, it can test patience and confidence in ways we didn't anticipate. This time of teaching is not about offering quick answers or spiritual shortcuts. It's about understanding waiting as a meaningful part of the journey, even when it feels unclear. Together, we'll explore how faith can remain steady, gentle, and alive, even when outcomes are uncertain and timelines feel slow. Waiting is often misunderstood. Many people think of waiting as empty time, a pause where nothing meaningful is happening. Yet, waiting is rarely empty. It is filled with thoughts, emotions, questions, and quiet changes that are easy to overlook. Spiritually speaking, waiting is not a gap between meaningful moments. It is often the place where deeper formation begins. When life slows down unexpectedly, it can feel disorienting. You may have had a clear sense of direction before, and now that clarity feels distant. Plans may feel delayed or uncertain. In these moments, it's natural to search for reasons or explanations. You might ask yourself whether this season is purposeful or simply an obstacle to endure. These questions don't signal a lack of faith. They reflect a desire to understand what is happening beneath the surface. Waiting has a way of revealing what we rely on most. When progress slows, external markers of success or reassurance often fade into the background. What remains is the inner landscape, hopes, fears, expectations, and trust. This is where waiting does its quiet work. It brings attention to what might otherwise remain unnoticed. Spiritually, waiting can represent a season of preparation rather than punishment. It can be a time when growth happens beneath the surface, much like roots developing before visible growth appears. This kind of growth is subtle. It doesn't announce itself. It often feels slow and unremarkable, yet it lays foundations that support future strength and stability. There is also a vulnerability in waiting. Without clear answers, it becomes harder to control outcomes or predict next steps. This loss of control can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling. Yet, it is often within this vulnerability that trust begins to deepen. Trust that is untested remains theoretical. Trust formed in uncertainty becomes lived and resilient. Waiting can also reshape how time is experienced. Days may feel longer, and progress may feel invisible. This can create a sense of restlessness or impatience. Yet, waiting invites a different relationship with time, one that is less driven by urgency and more open to presence. It gently asks whether value is measured only by movement or whether there is worth in stillness as well. It's important to recognize that waiting does not look the same for everyone. For some, it's a quiet season with few outward changes. For others, it's marked by inner struggle or emotional fatigue. There is no single way to experience waiting correctly. Each person carries their own story, expectations, and thresholds. Spiritually, waiting often involves holding questions without immediate answers. It may involve trusting without clarity, choosing patience when results are not visible. This is not about suppressing doubts or pretending everything feels fine. It's about staying present and open, even when certainty is absent. Waiting can also challenge assumptions about timing. Many people assume that if something is meant to happen, it will happen quickly or smoothly. When that doesn't occur, discouragement can settle in. Yet, timing often unfolds in ways that are not immediately understandable. What feels delayed may actually be aligned with deeper readiness or unseen factors. In this sense, waiting becomes a teacher. It teaches attentiveness, humility, and resilience. It teaches how to listen rather than rush. It teaches how to remain connected, even when outcomes are not immediate. This kind of learning is rarely comfortable, but it is often transformative. The heart of waiting is not inactivity, it is attentiveness. It is staying engaged with life while holding space for what is still unfolding. It is learning to live fully in the present moment without abandoning hope for the future. This balance is delicate, and it takes time to develop. When waiting is approached with gentleness rather than resistance, it can become a space of quiet strength. It can foster patience that is not forced, trust that is not rushed, and faith that is steady rather than reactive. This does not mean waiting suddenly feels easy. It means waiting becomes meaningful. Waiting often touches the inner world more deeply than the outer one. While circumstances may appear unchanged, thoughts and emotions can feel intensified. Doubt may arise quietly, not as a dramatic loss of belief, but as subtle questions that linger beneath the surface. You might wonder whether you're being overlooked or whether your efforts matter. These experiences are common, yet they are rarely spoken about openly. Spiritual fatigue can also emerge during extended seasons of waiting. When prayers seem unanswered or progress feels slow, enthusiasm can wane. Faith may feel less vibrant, less certain. This doesn't mean faith has disappeared. Often, it means faith is shifting from something felt strongly to something held quietly. Discouragement in waiting is not a sign of failure. It is a human response to uncertainty. The desire for resolution and clarity is natural. When these remain elusive, it's easy to internalize the delay as personal inadequacy or spiritual deficiency. Yet, waiting is not a reflection of worth or devotion. There may also be moments of comparison. Watching others move forward while you remain in place can stir feelings of envy or isolation. You might question why timelines differ, why some paths seem smoother than others. These thoughts can be uncomfortable, yet they are part of the shared human experience. Waiting can bring a sense of emotional exposure. Without clear direction, insecurities may surface more easily. Old fears or unresolved questions might reappear. This can feel unsettling, but it can also be an invitation to deeper honesty and self-compassion. It's important to acknowledge that uncertainty does not equal distance from God. Silence or delay does not mean absence. Often, the quiet seasons are when presence is closest, even if it doesn't feel dramatic or reassuring in obvious ways. Faith in these moments becomes less about feeling supported and more about trusting support exists, even when it's unseen. Patience during waiting is often misunderstood as passive endurance. In reality, patience involves active gentleness toward oneself. It involves allowing emotions to surface without judgment and giving space for rest when needed. It means recognizing limits and honoring the need for care. Waiting can also reshape identity. When roles, plans, or expectations are paused, there may be a sense of disorientation. You might wonder who you are without the momentum you once had. This questioning can feel uncomfortable, but it can also open space for identity rooted more deeply in being rather than doing. The inner work of waiting often involves learning to sit with unanswered questions without rushing to resolve them. This can feel counterintuitive in a world that values speed and certainty. Yet, there is strength in allowing questions to remain open, trusting that understanding will unfold in time. Self-compassion becomes especially important here. Rather than criticizing yourself for feeling restless or uncertain, you're invited to treat these feelings with kindness. Waiting is not meant to be endured harshly. It's meant to be lived through gently. This season may also invite reflection on expectations. Sometimes waiting reveals that certain expectations were heavier than realized. Letting go of rigid timelines or outcomes can feel like loss, yet it can also create space for unexpected growth. Ultimately, waiting is not a detour from spiritual life. It is part of it. The emotions that surface during waiting are not obstacles to faith, they are places where faith can deepen, mature, and become more resilient. Scripture often speaks to the experience of waiting, not by offering quick resolutions, but by revealing the character of God within it. One passage reflects on how those who place their hope in God find renewed strength over time. The image is not of instant change, but of gradual renewal, suggesting that endurance and trust are closely connected. This idea reminds us that waiting is not wasted when hope is present. Strength is not always renewed through sudden breakthroughs. Sometimes it is renewed quietly, through sustained trust and steady presence. This reveals a God who values process as much as outcome. Another scripture speaks of trusting with the heart rather than relying solely on personal understanding. It suggests that clarity does not always come from having all the answers, but from staying oriented toward God even when understanding feels incomplete. This perspective reframes waiting as a relational space rather than a problem to solve. This kind of trust is not blind or dismissive of questions. It is relational trust, grounded in the belief that guidance unfolds step by step. It reveals a God who walks with people through uncertainty rather than removing it immediately. There is also a passage that reflects on how growth often begins small, even hidden, before becoming visible. This imagery speaks to the unseen work happening during waiting. It suggests that what appears inactive on the surface may be developing quietly underneath. Together, these scriptures reveal a consistent theme. God's presence is not limited to moments of clarity or progress. It is deeply present in seasons of uncertainty, slowness, and quiet growth. Waiting is not portrayed as abandonment, but as accompaniment. These passages also suggest that faith is not measured by how quickly answers arrive, but by the willingness to remain open and engaged. God is depicted as patient, attentive, and steady, working within time rather than rushing past it. In everyday life, this means waiting does not place you outside of God's care. It places you within a space where trust, resilience, and understanding are being shaped gradually. Scripture supports the idea that waiting is not a spiritual failure, but a meaningful part of the journey. Living with this understanding of waiting means approaching daily life with gentler expectations. Rather than measuring progress solely by visible outcomes, attention shifts toward inner alignment and presence. Ordinary moments become opportunities to practice trust without pressure. Waiting can be carried into simple routines, into conversations, into moments of rest. It doesn't require dramatic changes or constant reflection. It simply invites openness to what is unfolding now, even if the future remains unclear. In practical terms, this might look like allowing yourself to move at a sustainable pace rather than forcing momentum. It might involve acknowledging emotions as they arise without trying to resolve them immediately. It might involve noticing small signs of growth that are easy to miss. Trust during waiting often shows up as consistency rather than intensity. It's the quiet choice to remain engaged, to continue showing up, even when motivation fluctuates. This kind of trust is resilient because it is grounded in reality rather than idealized expectations. It's also helpful to recognize that waiting does not mean putting life on hold. Joy, connection, and meaning can still be present, even alongside uncertainty. Allowing room for both hope and contentment creates balance. Carrying faith into ordinary moments means allowing it to be gentle rather than demanding. It means trusting that growth is happening, even when it's not visible. It means being open to learning from the present rather than fixating solely on the future. Waiting invites a slower, more attentive way of living. It encourages listening, reflection, and patience. These qualities not only support spiritual life, but also deepen relationships and self-understanding. Rather than asking when waiting will end, it can be helpful to ask what this season is quietly shaping. This shift in focus does not eliminate uncertainty, but it can bring meaning to it. Ultimately, practical faith during waiting is about staying present, staying open, and staying compassionate toward yourself. It's about trusting that timing unfolds with wisdom, even when it feels slow. As the teaching gently settles, this is a moment to pause again. There is no need to hold on to every thought or insight. Allow them to rest. Let your breathing slow naturally. This is a time to shift from reflection into quiet openness. You may notice thoughts drifting in and out. Rather than following them, imagine placing them gently aside, trusting they can be returned to later if needed. This moment is about creating space within, not filling it. If waiting has felt heavy, allow that weight to be acknowledged without meaning or explanation. Simply notice it. If there is weariness, let it be seen without judgment. This is not a time to fix or resolve, but to soften and release. As attention turns inward, there is an invitation to let go of striving. To release the need to understand everything right now. To trust that being present is enough. Prayer is not about finding the right words or feelings. It's about honest presence. It's about opening the heart as it is, without performance or expectation. As we move into prayer, allow yourself to listen first. Let the heart settle. Let the need for answers loosen its grip. There is room here for trust to be quiet and gentle. When you feel ready, we will enter into prayer together, carrying everything that has surfaced with openness and care. God, I come to you just as I am, without certainty, without clear answers, and without needing to explain myself. I acknowledge that waiting has been part of my journey, and at times it has felt heavier than I expected. There are moments when